Jai Gurudev, thank you for joining us today. Today we have with us an art of living expert and an officer from the Vedic Dharma Sansthan. Today we will be discussing about the first stanza of Kaal Bhairav Ashtakam. So, what is the significance of the line Devaraja Sevaman Pavana Ginam Pagan, whose lotus feet are served by Indra, the king of Devas? Jagurudev, yes, this line points to absolute reverence. His Holiness Gurudev Shri Shri Ravi Shankarji often says, when even the greatest bow to the divine, it shows that surrender is the highest strength. Indra symbolizes power, but he bows to Kal Bhairav's lotus feet, which represent purity and transcendence. In sadhana, we too touch the feet of the Master not just as a symbol of humility, but as a doorway to liberation. The reverence isn't towards a form but towards the supreme consciousness. The form represents when we do Sudarshan Kriya or chant the Kal Bhairava Ashtakam, we align with this same cosmic reverence. How do you interpret this line? Vyala Yagya Sutra Mindu Shekharam Kripakaram. Who wears a snake as a Yagya thread, the moon on his head, and is compassionate. The imagery is layered with spiritual quotes. The snake worn as a yagya thread tells us Kal Bhairava transcends ritualistic boundaries. He carries the fierce and the sacred as one. The moon represents calmness, a mind that has mastered its cycles, perfect equanimity. And Kripakaram or compassionate is the essence. Gurudev reminds us that true mastery is to balance intensity with kindness in rituals like Agni Karyam and Upanyanam. When we chant and fear the sacred thread, it's not just a social marker, it's a bridge to transcend duality. Kala Bhairava reminds us embrace intensity but remain soaked in grace. What is the importance of Kala Bhairava being Naradadi Yogi Vrindivandittatam, worshipped by Narada and Yogi groups? Yes, sage Narada is the symbol of devotion and motion, always traveling, singing the divine's name. Yogis represent those who sit still, anchored in silence. Kala Bhairava is revered by both those in movement and those in stillness. Gurudev beautifully says, real yoga is when movement and stillness merge, whether one is actively serving the world or meditating in silence. Both are uplifted by invoking the Kala Bhairava in programs like Sahat Samadhi meditation or Seva projects. You see this harmony chanting the Kal Bhairava Shtakam balances the dynamic and still within us. What does Digambar or Digambara, clothed by the sky, symbolize in a seeker's journey? As Digambara means one who wears the directions as clothing, completely unbound. Kalabhairava is not limited by form, caste, space, or time. Gurudev says true freedom is when nothing can bind you, not even your own mind. Digambara is a message to seekers go beyond identity. In the Upanayam ceremony, we teach boys to move from body identity to spiritual identity. Sandhya Vandanam, Gayatri Japa, and Sanyam Sadhana of level 1 and level 2 programs purify the internal sky. Kalabhairav's nudity is symbolic. Pure consciousness is ever present and unattached. That's what we cultivate through discipline and detachment. Why is Kashi referred to as Kashika Puradhinath Kala Bhairavam Bhaje? Salutations to Kala Bhairav, the Lord of Kashi. Yes, Kashi isn't just a city, it's a state of consciousness. It represents the luminous inner realm where knowledge of Ka and dwelling or She unite. Kala Bhairava is its guardian. Gurudev often speaks of deathlessness, not of body, but of awareness. In Kashi, time dissolves and Kala Bhairava governs its timelessness. That's why dying in Kashi is considered liberating. It symbolizes the death of ego and the birth of pure being. When we do Kriyas, Sudarshan Kriya, Shakti Kriyas, or meditate deeply, we momentarily enter that inner Kashi. Kala Bhairava is the gatekeeper of the state, both fierce and compassionate. How does chanting or listening to Kal Bhairava Ashtakam, especially by Bhanumati Narasimhanji, influence our state of mind? Yes, a sound carries intention, and when sung with devotion and awareness, it pierces through subtle layers of the mind. Bhanumati Narasimhanji's rendition is infused with both bhakti and precision. Gurudev has said when sound is aligned with silence, it becomes a portal to the divine. The Ashtakam, when sung with reverence, invokes inner protection, clarity, and strength. It clears the subconscious fears and stabilizes the mind. In Vedic chanting traditions, we emphasize swara or intonation and bhava or feeling. Both are perfectly present in her singing. It becomes not just a chant but an inner awakening. How can modern seekers connect with Kalabhairava's fierce yet compassionate energy in daily life. Yes, Kalabhairava's energy is intense but not angry. It's like mother's discipline or a surgeon's precision in today's world. We are often either too passive or too reactive. Gurudev's guidance is to be firm without losing gentleness. Practices like Shakti Kriya build this capacity, fears, clarity with an open heart. Kala Bhairava teaches us to cut through illusions yet remain grounded in love. When we chant his name or sit in deep silence after Sudarshan Kriya, we access this energy. It makes us fearless yet tender. That balance is the gratitude of an evolved seeker. So, in the context of leadership in the corporate or political world, how should we understand Devaraj Seviman Pavanangi Pankajam, whose feet are served by Indra, the king of Devas? Yes, Indra represents positions of great power akin to CEOs, politicians, and global influencers. Even such beings are depicted as bowing at the feet of Kala Bhairava. In today's leadership models, we see many collapsing due to ego, stress, or burnout. Gurudev teaches that true leadership is rooted in humility and service. When leaders meditate, so do Sudarshan Kriya or embrace spiritual wisdom, their leadership becomes more inclusive and calm, serving something higher than the self, be it the organization, the nation, or humanity, brings clarity and integrity. Kal Bhairav's feet are not just poetic, they are a metaphor for surrendering to Dharma. How does Vyala Yagya Sutra Mindu Shekaram Kripakaram apply to entrepreneurship where both risk and compassion must coexist? Yes, the serpent or snake as Yagya thread symbolizes danger or volatility, exactly what entrepreneurs deal with daily. Yet Kalabhairava wears it with grace, signifying fearlessness and mastery over unpredictability. The moon symbolizes the cooling, intuitive mind necessary for making inspired decisions. Compassion or Kripakaram ensures that businesses doesn't lose its soul. Gurudev always emphasizes that compassion is the strength through practices like Padma Sadhana and Pranayama. Entrepreneurs can balance their inner intensity with the outer empathy in Vedic rituals. We invoke both protection and clarity before any venture, mirroring the blend of courage and kindness seen in Kala Bhairava. How can NGO leaders relate to Naradadi Yoga Vrindi Vrinditam in the context of service and strategy? Yes, NGOs often operate at the intersection of idealism and practical action. Narada symbolizes the power of communication and devotion. Yogis symbolize deep inner silence and alignment. While NGO leaders must combine both, speaking with passion, acting with clarity, and resting in silence. Gurudev says, don't burn out, go inward. Programs like Sat Samadhi meditation or silence retreats help NGO workers recharge. Kalabhairava is honored by those who speak truth and those who live it in the field, whether you are mobilizing resources or teaching underprivileged children. Invoking Kalabhairava through mantra or presence brings both strength and subtle intelligence. In governance or policy making, what does the idea of Digambaram or clothed by space offer to decision makers? A policymaker must transcend attachment to titles, party lines, and personal benefit. The Gambara reflects the ultimate detachment, acting without ego. Gurudev encourages leaders to meditate daily so decisions are born from a clear mind, not compulsions. In Sandhya Vandanam, we cleanse our mind thrice a day. Similarly, a decision maker who introspects regularly can think beyond partisanship and personal agendas. Kala Bhairava, clothed by space, is the ultimate non attached administrator. When we do rituals like Agni Karyam with intention, we align action with the cosmos. That is the dharmic way to govern, detached yet deeply responsible. Can you explain how invoking Kala Bhairava helps with time management and decision making under pressure in high stakes environments? Kala Bhairava governs time or Kala and fear or Bhairava. In modern sectors from corporate to politics, time scarcity and fear of failure are common stressors. Gurudev says a calm mind is the best tool to manage time. When professionals chant the Kaal Bhairav Ashtakam, especially in early morning or twilight hours, they attune to timelessness and clarity. Sudarshan Kriya releases accumulated stress, allowing for more efficient, intuitive decision making. Entrepreneurs often report their best ideas emerging post meditation. Kala Bhairava doesn't just help us control time, he teaches us to step beyond it into flow. How can leaders practically embody Kal Bhairav's energy without becoming rigid or authoritarian? Kal Bhairav's fierceness is not tyranny, it's dharmic clarity. He is compassionate even in his intensity. Gurudev explains that true power never dominates, it elevates. Leaders should uphold boundaries, protect ethics, and cut through corruption, symbolized by Bhairava's trident. But with the heart of a servant, regular Gayatri Japa and self inquiry help develop this inner compass. In Vedic rituals, even during Rudra Abhishekam, we balance Rudra or fierce with Soma or cooling. Leaders who embody this balance inspire devotion, not fear. Kala Bhairava is the archetype of such centered ethical leadership. How can teams across sectors use the Kala Bhairava Ashtakam in collective practices to enhance cohesion and purpose? Collective chanting like Kala Bhairava Ashtakam aligns group energy. It dissolves individual ego and awakens shared intention. Gurudev has led thousands in mass chants and meditations, transforming cities and war-torn zones in corporate retreats or NGO strategy meets. Group chanting followed by silence brings unexpected unity. When each team member aligns with the same inner vibration, synergy replaces friction. Kala Bhairav's energy helps burn away distractions and ego clashes. It's not about religion, it's about rhythm, sound, and presence. Organizations that incorporate such practices experience more innovation, loyalty, and resilience. How can students and aspiring professionals start integrating Kal Bhairav's presence and practices daily in their careers? Begin with daily Sandhya Vandanam or a few minutes of Gayatri chanting. Read the meanings of the Kal Bhairava Shtakam. Don't just chant mechanically, attend Art of Living programs like Yes Plus or Sky Campus Happiness. These build both focus and joy. Gurudev encourages balancing discipline with the celebration. Light a lamp, sit in silence, and offer your anxieties to Kala Bhairava. Say, let me walk in Dharma, protect me from distraction. This invocation builds inner armor. Whether you are in a startup, law firm, or think tank, Kala Bhairava becomes your unseen guide, fierce when needed, gentle always. Jai Gurudev, so how does the line Devaraj Sevyamana Pavanangi Pankajam relate to healing and disease prevention in the human body? This line means even the most powerful, like Indra, bow to Kal Bhairava's lotus feet. In healing, this represents surrendering to the highest intelligence of the body and cosmos. His Holiness Gurudev Shri Ravi Shankarji often says, disease begins when we stop listening. Most people seek control, but healing begins with surrender to rest, to breathe, to nature. Kal Bhairav's feet symbolize grounding. Walking barefoot on earth, a yogic and Ayurvedic practice, reduces inflammation and balances energy. Practicing pranayama or Sudarshan Kriya with this reverent mindset boosts immunity and synchronizes circadian rhythms, preventing disease at a deep level. What is the health relevance of Vyala Yagya Sutra Mindu Shekharam Kripakaram in today's stress driven medical environment? This phrase combines symbolism and physiology. The snake or Vyala as sacred thread represents Kundalini energy coiled in the spine. When awakened gently through responsible through yogic kriyas, it enhances neuroendocrine function. The moon or Indu represents the pineal gland, responsible for melatonin and circadian regulation. When the mind is too agitated, disease sets in. Kal Bhairav's symbolism tells us awaken the spine's intelligence, cool the mind, and cultivate compassion or kripakaram to create a healing field. Practices like Padma Sadhana, full yogic breathing, and mantra chanting help regulate blood pressure, improve digestion, and trigger the body's natural healing mechanism. Check it there.